Joe Musso in studio with one of the finest hoops minds you can find. Tim Doyle breaking it all down. The Dukies, ACC champions in the tournament for the 22nd time, TD. You run it back. It's one of the Blue Bloods, and they get it done once again. It's the first time they've done this since 2019, though, so getting back to a place that they haven't been in a couple of years. You see this game played at a low total. Maybe that would have favored Virginia when you look at this before tip, but here they are playing one of those plotting games and still getting it done. What's it tell you about the Dukies?
This has been an amazing run for Duke. 9 straight wins. And Alanis Morissette, one of the great poets of the late 20th century, said, it's like 2,000 spoons when all you need is a knife. It's like meeting the man of your dreams and meeting your beautiful wife. Well, 9 straight wins since the loss to UVA in Charlottesville with a foul that wasn't called. And now they go on this run. You know what I love about Duke? They've won in so many different ways. You want them to go out there and get 90 points like they did against Pitt. They shot over 60%, banged down 11 threes. I mean, during this winning streak, which they've won 9 straight, 8 teams have been under the 70-point mark. And they've done it with defense. Today, UVA 17, I repeat, 17 first half points. I mean, you're going to win in the tournament. You know how you got to win? Different ways. Yeah. You know, they showed that they can win scoring 90, and they showed that they could win a game that was 59-49. John Scheyer, it's tough replacing a legend. You always want to be the guy after the guy. He's the guy after, and he's done a remarkable job. I did not think this team in the middle of February, Moose, had that sort of capability. Hats off to their staff. Hats off to Duke. They do it again.
Yeah, they get the job done here. Duke, maybe relative to past seasons, flying a little bit more under the radar, the headlines that they had to deal with a year ago that you allude to there, but no rain on this wedding day. We do want to talk about these two guys here in Roach and Filipowski, 23 and 20 respectively. When you're talking about 3/4 of your scoring coming from two guys, does that give you any pause heading towards tournament time? I mean, next closest had 5. Does that worry you at all, depth in scoring with the Dukies moving forward?
You know, coming into this tournament, that was something I looked at. They only had 2 guys, Duke, averaging in double figures. We talk about Filipowski and Roach. Well, then that's exactly who goes out there and delivered. Now, they do have, 7 different guys that are averaging nearly 6 or more. Okay. So you do have a little bit of balance there. But this is a team that's kind of finding its identity. And when you're looking at this NCAA tournament, what you and I were kind of talking about off air is, all right, which team can you go, that team. Yeah. That's the team I feel confident.
Into the Elite 8, don't ask me any questions type.
I think that's Alabama. I think that is UCLA. I think those 2 teams are penciled in. Duke, the way they're playing right now, this hotness, I like this. Like, I'm looking for angles this year going into the tournament. With all the transfers, and this guy started at George Mason, and that guy was at Texas Tech, with everybody moving around, I'm looking for culture. One thing that Duke has right now, right, they have a former player who's won a national championship, who was an assistant coach, that understands that Duke culture, and now these guys are buying in, and now they're playing their best basketball. So, like, Duke has the recipe this year, even though they're more than likely going to be a 5 seed, to be really dangerous.
Yeah, you don't want to be on that 5 line. We'll talk about it a bunch on Sunday, our selection show going down here on HQ. Tim Doyle, Matt Norlander, Hakeem Dermish going to be breaking it down in studio. When you talk about the ceiling for these Dukies, probably a 5 line, maybe a live 5, but what can be said about the job that John Scheyer has done here over these first 4 months of taking the reins of the most storied college program that there is, arguably? The job that he's done here in year 1, what does it bring to mind for you?
I think it says a lot about what college basketball is right now. Okay. And if you're able to keep things that have had success in-house and keep that culture, this is something that I learned when I was out in San Diego State covering them this year. And Brian Dutcher was saying, we just have a great culture. We have guys that have bought in. We recruit a certain way. We have guys that have been around the block. Now, Duke may not have that experience, but Scheyer understands what it means to put on that uniform, playing for Coach K. He understands what it means to be an assistant coach. Like, there's a way that Duke conducts its business, the way they conduct their practices. Like, you just saw Jim Boeheim step down. What did they do? They elevated someone within the program. That seems to be a popular trend with teams that have this winning culture right now. So this was not a word that you heard when I was coming up playing. And now it's so absent right now in college basketball that if you have that belief in guys that experience that continuity, that culture, you have a huge advantage over everyone else. So Duke's going in with momentum. Problem with Duke is they're always overvalued.
Yeah.
Right? You always pay a premium to bet them in futures. You always pay a premium to bet them in games. Right? They were a favorite in this game today, 3.5, depending where you're looking. So there's never great value with Duke. They're like the Yankees, they're like the Cowboys, but they are playing their best basketball by far right at this moment.
Whether you are a 1, a 5, or anything in between, you always have a target on your back. If you are the Duke Blue Devils, we'll see what they can do moving ahead. Now, 9 straight wins and an ACC tournament title, but that does not always mean success in the big tourney. Taking a look at your last 4 tournament title winners out of the ACC. Lost in the first round, Duke in 2019, the last time they did claim this. A loss in the Elite 8, 3 of the last 4. Bowing out game 1 when we get to the big bracket.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.